I never met my grandfather. He died in 1993, 3 years before I was born. And although I hardly know anything about the man, I've always felt a profound connection to him. It's something I can't explain. Recently, I found a pile of boxes labeled with his name. The content, everything he had left behind when he died. You know what they say, you are what you leave behind. So this right here was the first introduction I've ever had with my grandfather. To be specific, the boxes were filled with 6 slide photo carousels, a Kodak slide projector, about 10,000 feet of Super 8 film, 7 photo albums, 1 big photo journal, 3 cameras, an old light meter, 5 booklets of classical vinyl records, a Pan Am model plane, and a leather briefcase filled with long letters, diaries, pamphlets, and newspaper clippings. His name was Palle Gregard. He was born in 1925 in Copenhagen, Denmark. He rode crew and was a Boy Scout. He was exposed to adventure from an early age. He was always off in nature somewhere with his best buddies, and always had a camera around his neck so that he could document what he called his excursions. He soon got a job for Scandinavian Airlines, which meant he could travel anywhere he wanted for free. He loved seeing new places, meeting new people, and exposing himself to new cultures. When he was 25 years old, Palle was chosen by the Queen of Denmark to be one of 50 Danish men who would reenact a Viking expedition from Denmark to England over several weeks. Denmark's most adventurous men, from bricklayers to dentists to firemen, came together, became overnight celebrities, and built a replica Viking ship named the Hugin. And on July 1st, 1949, the ship launched from a little town in Denmark.
1. juli. Der var flag i alle gaderne. TV, film og presse fra hele verden var der. Så dukkede alle de fuldskæggede vikinger op i deres kostymer, og ceremonien begyndte.
During their crossing of the North Sea, they lived in the same rigorous conditions as the original Vikings.
21. juli. Efter stormen havde fortaget sig. Vi måtte komme fremad ved roning. Vi roede hele dagen fra 4 til 22.
And by the time they reached Broadstairs, they had settled down to some really hard living. But it was all worth it when they were greeted by thousands in England.
28. juli. Dette er dagen. Dagens plan for landingen. Vi kunne se den store folkemængde på land. Den lange roning var forbi. En folkemængde på omkring 90.000 folk var langs strandpromenaden med hilsener og jubel. En vidunderlig rejse, og en rejse, vi skal huske resten af vores liv. Ånden af eventyr og god vilje gjorde det til en stor succes.
A few years later, my grandfather commenced on an even bigger adventure. Leaving his homeland and family behind, he immigrated to Los Angeles, where he would work for Pan Am Airlines. Again, taking advantage of the free travel that came along with the job. He loved America, but missed everyone he had left behind in Denmark. He wrote a countless number of letters back to his family, particularly to his mother.
Kære mor. Ja, så er jeg i Californien. 7:00 kom lossen ombord. Og lige pludselig så dukkede byen frem af et togedis, som havde skjult den. Mine første indtryk er gode, og jeg tror, at jeg vil kunne finde mig til rette her.
The letters were so beautiful that they would be passed around to family and friends so that everyone could keep up with Palle's latest adventure. His move to America was a big change in his life. He didn't know anybody in the States and didn't speak a word of English. But still, he didn't back down from the adventure. Soon after, he met my grandmother Elise, the first Danish girl he'd come across in the States. After just 6 months, he was sure that Elise was the love of his life, and he asked her to marry him. So they drove up to a chapel in Las Vegas, walked up to the window, signed a few papers, and the man behind the counter said, "I now pronounce you man and wife. That'll be $20, please." They honeymooned in Hawaii, his new favorite destination, and they were happily married for the rest of his life. They settled down into a little home in Long Beach, California, and soon came my mom and my uncle, the start of a whole new type of adventure. My mom grew up, married my dad, who came from a long line of Corsican pirates, but that's a totally different story. Anyways, eventually, I came along. And now I'm 20 years old and trying to figure out what I should do with my life. What I've ultimately learned about my grandfather is that he always sought out adventure and willingly embraced uncertainty. In fact, he even journeyed across country by automobile without a road map. You see, my grandfather realized that anchoring oneself in comfort and security can be a dangerous habit. It can create an attachment that prevents us from grasping life's full potential. Leaping into the unknown was his normal. Without a doubt, I've learned from him that uncertainty is a part of the adventure we call life. And as I come to a crossroads in my life where I can decide to settle for comfort or venture into the unknown, I will keep in mind the philosophy that my grandfather lived by. It's okay not to have a detailed roadmap, to not have everything so figured out. In fact, that's where the beauty in life lies. Although I did never in fact meet my grandfather, I now know why I've always felt so connected to him. You see, in a way, death is not an end, but a new beginning. When we die, we simply pass on the torch to the next generation so that we may live on through them. Although I never met him, I do know my grandfather, because his spirit lives on within me.